anticipate. That's a lot of different varying answers to a large variety of threats and answers his opponents can present.
Yeah,
and
right.
he has one Bonfire of the Damned.
Might as well have one.
That's the only one you need.
That's all you need. One time. Looks like we're firing off here, and we have the optimal turn 1 Arbor Elf. Here we go. Maybe a Domri if he's lucky enough. I see a Forest. I don't see much else in his hand, so Forest means no Domri turn 2. So what are we going to have instead? Looks like Ooze and another Arbor Elf.
Oh, Ben's probably going to wish he had more than just one Bonfire.
Oh yeah, this is. I'm sure it'll be on top, but if not, I see Ben has a Searing Spear to answer that Ooze, and it's important to Searing Spear earlier. We saw a few players earlier take their time, and it kind of will come back to bite you if you don't immediately kill it. He also has a Turn and Burn. He can use that as well. Yeah, he doesn't waste any time. It's a good play there.
Yeah, I like going ahead and using the burn against a green or green-red deck. Ben obviously not even sure that Andrew's playing red at this point. Turn and Burn has significantly less hits. Something like maybe a Wolfear's Overheart might wind up mattering.
Right, maybe. That's very rare. I agree with you. It's very tough to get value out of it, especially unless you have creatures out in mid-combat, which it looks like Ben doesn't really have the creature start. Wow, here's Hellrider.
This is aggressive. Andrew's going to go ahead and swing in for 6 damage.
Ben luckily has a Searing Spear, and this is why red might be the answer even in control decks at this point, and a little ways from Esper, because the spot removal not only is really good early, but it also is pretty good late game when you're trying to finish your opponent off.
Yeah, Ben's deck can really capitalize on the fact that he has Burn as his removal spell of choice, because when he's not removing creatures, he can actually just send it to the face. It complements all of his creatures very nicely. Geist of St. Traff and Thunderman Hawkeye especially.
Oh yeah. Looks like Andrew is now on the Arbor Elf beatdown plan.
I've seen worse plans.
Yeah.
Generally, that plan much better when packed with a Gavany Township.
Right. See what another Ooze.
And a land. That land is important. It means that Ben can't just Searing Spear this Ooze out of the way.
Right. We got 2 creatures in the yard, Hellrider and the old Ooze. So Ben is now going to look at his hand, which does contain Searing Spear, and not be enough. If he has a Warrior's Helix, then he can finish it off there, and he might have one by that Restoration Angel. I can't tell.
Now, importantly, if Andrew does grow the Ooze during the end step, Ben can now employ the Searing Spear if he wants to.
Right, yeah, this is
that's
dangerous.
What he's thinking about right now. He's got to worry about not just Searing Spear, but Snapcaster Mage for Searing Spear.
Right. If I'm Andrew, I untap my lands here because you have 2 Arbor Elf in play, and you don't want to take the risk. And he makes a good choice. Good job.
Good call, Andrew. That'll force Ben to actually spend War Leader's Helix on the Scavenging Ooze if he wants to try and catch it.
Right. Maybe a lot of times I see here Gorklan Rampager. If you don't do a pre-combat, I've seen some pretty big blowouts. So right here, if Andrew does have Gorklan Rampager, you can really see a momentum swing here when he could have done a pre-combat. I see a red card. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's a Mizium Orders.
He's going to try and grow it.
He's going to
Warrior's Helix, and Andrew is going to send that Rampager right on down.
Yeah, I think he has a Rampager, right?
If he has one, he will.
Yeah, I don't know if he. I see a color card there. I just don't know what it is.
Oh, I think that's a green card, not a not a gold one.
Okay, so no Rampager.
It may in fact be another Arbor Elf.
Lucky for Ben.
He is going to want to go ahead and eat probably both of Ben's non-War Leader's Helix spells. He can't eat the Helix because it's not in the graveyard yet, but he can go ahead and remove those as Snapcaster Mage possibilities.
Right. You definitely don't want to remove the other creature in your graveyard just for the life gain, because if you draw that last Scavenging Ooze, then it's definitely fuel for the fire there. I'm not sure why he didn't attack with the Arbor Elf. I guess he's playing around Restoration Angel.
Yeah, it looked like he apparently was afraid of a Restoration Angel, which, rightly so. We know that Ben actually has that in his hand.
Right, yeah. Right now Ben is really in the driver's seat, due mainly to the fact that Andrew has a bunch of 1/1s in play, and I think I see another Warrior's Helix and a Searing Spear. He just has a lot of the removal, and of course Restoration Angel, which is much bigger than most of Andrew's creatures.
Yeah, I think I would have sent with the Arbor Elf, even if I'm Andrew, because if Ben spends his turn casting Restoration Angel there, I can Mortars it down after combat. Sure, I got 2 for 1, but that Arbor Elf wasn't really doing much anyway.
Right.
And the Scavenging Ooze would have been able to grow up to 5/5.
Oh yeah,
which is a pretty big gain.
Yeah, and even though he blocked Arbor Elf, actually a 6/6 even after that. A turn later too. Yeah, I agree. I would have definitely got in there with Team. I think Andrew might be a little frustrated because his draw is pretty weak.
Yeah, he's drawn a lot of mana, and he doesn't really have a way to capitalize on it. that's a big difference between this deck and things like the Green-White Elves deck, where you have Gavany Township, which really turns your team lethal very quickly.
Yeah, and 7 Garricks.
Yeah.
You are just playing big things later on.
The Green-Red deck really can't afford to run that many utility lands. It has 1 Kessig Wolf run, and that's its primary mana sink. So you have 23 lands, 6 mana dudes. That means almost half your deck's mana, and only 1 land can actually be converted into additional utility.
It's definitely been the Achilles heel of these red-green decks, or even the super aggressive decks with a little more land, because they are, they're pretty much all in on this strategy here. And sometimes they get flooded, and we see that here. Here's the best creature probably in the matchup. Just tough to get around. Obviously, Boros Reckoner is one of those cards that will be played for quite some time, up until probably it rotates heavily.
Good card for Andrew here. He drew a Domri Raid. He can actually defend that reasonably well from the Reckoner, thanks to these Arbor Elves, which can chump block. It's not an unreasonable use.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see if he hits a decent sized creature here. I think what's he gonna? He's probably gonna attack Domri, force Andrew to block, and then end up Warleash Helixing it anyway.
Yeah. Domri Raid did a lot of good work for Andrew just last weekend in New Jersey, where he employed it in a number of matches, not the least of which was a 3-0 match in Andrew's favor against Jerry T. Jerry just failed to answer Domri Raid basically in every game, and that was enough for Andrew to take the advantage.
Yeah, as I mentioned before with Patrick, Domri against control is a house. It's a house card. It is just impossible to deal with when you don't draw the burn spell immediately, and when it does crank up all the way in Ultimate, you are pretty much helpless.
Ben drew a Searing Spear and used that to dispatch the Domri Raid, or maybe that was the same Searing Spear before, using Boros Reckoner's trigger in conjunction with the Spear, preserving his War Leader's Helix.
And that is a fine play here. I don't know much. I don't think Ben has much of a mana sink. Obviously, he's in the driver's seat right now, but besides that bonfire, pretty much his lands become pretty worthless later on. I think if I was him, I'd probably play 1 Spicy Sphinx of Revelation, later on. Draw my deck.
I'm not that against such a card.
Yeah, it's just a nice thing to. Yeah, nice little top deck.
Even just a land like Moorland Haunt would actually be useful.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of 1 Moorland Haunt decks like this.
Yeah, me too. You want to be able to do something with all this mana later in the game. Alright, so we're still just getting beat down with this Boros Reckoner. Andrew looks pretty dejected. Just has a ton of mana, nothing to do with it. And of course, a Reckoner pretty much defeats every creature in combat.
Andrew really wants to draw just one Roar of Thunder by Hellkite. That's where he wants to live.
Yeah, that's the best. That's the best spot to be in. He has something big here. He looks like he's tapping. Maybe not too much here.
4 mana.
Hell Rider, I assume.
Hell Rider is going to result in a blowout in Ben's favor, as he has a Restoration Angel.
This is going to be a disaster.
He has Snapcaster and Restoration Angel, both of them very viable answers to the Hell Rider.
This is going to be, Ben will clean up. I don't know if even Andrew can just say go at this point. I don't think he can. I think he has to attack and just hope for the best. And he will here, Restoration Angel, so.
Andrew's not likely to win if Ben has a Restoration Angel, whether he makes the play or not. So you might as well just hope Ben doesn't have it, attack in.
He should definitely block the other way. And, well, actually, it doesn't really matter. That's actually the best way to block. I was thinking first striking, it wouldn't matter. This is actually a free damage he gets from this. I like it. And just in case he had anything like Gorkland Rampage, or he had the Snapcaster with 4 open, a Searing Spear, just life is rough. Probably going to be going to game 2 here pretty soon. And we are going to game 2.
That'll do it.
Okay. All right, so it looked pretty clean cut here. Ben just, his red removal just outclassed the couple Scavenging Oozes early on, and it's just definitely one of the. You definitely want Scavenging Ooze to be later in the game. You want to have your other cards first, and then Scavenging Ooze as the red-green haymaker that really puts the hurting on these other aggro mirrors.
Yeah. Now that we're moving to sideboarding, I think the matchup actually improves for Andrew without gaining a lot on Ben's side. So he gets to bring in 4 Burning Earth, which is a card that Jerry even said in his article this week, I just don't have a good answer for.
There is no good answer for it, honestly. And it's funny, it's the same thing as Mana Barbs of old, but the big difference here is that there is no cheap disenchant that's actually that good or can be played. It's also in a very greedy format where everybody's playing just all non-basics. I see Burning Earth in this format being really good as it has been, but after rotation, I see it really falling off when I think we're going to be back to basics. If you forget my pun there. But I think Zealous Conscript is another card he brings in because, it's just a control card that you want to bring in. And, you take their Boros Reckoner from them or Resto Angel or something like that, and it really can give you a good, nice little swing there. As far as what he boards out, I don't know if he wants to slow it down and maybe board out the Burning Tree Emissary start. That could be a viable board out. I don't know if he wants to do that or not, if he still wants to be explosive. Otherwise, he might be able to board out maybe Gyre Sage.
Yeah, I think I definitely bring out the Gyre Sage.
Gyre Sage, yeah, that's another. I mean, against Burn, Gyre Sage is pretty unimpressive, especially when you're trying to build counters and main phase your stuff to do so, and then he's burn it instead.
Hellrider might be mediocre as well. Obviously, Spear, Snapcaster for Spear, Resto Angel, Warleader's Helix. That's a lot of answers for Hellrider.
And Reckoner too. Wow, he can't even attack with Hellrider. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
On the other sideboard, though, I think what do we got here?
Ben's got a lot of options.
Got some crazy stuff here. One clone. Is it Static Caster? Is pretty good here, right? He's got 8 or at least 6 mana dorks.
It's certainly a playable card. It lets Helix dispatch Thundermaw Hellkite, which I think is pretty important.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah. And it pretty much can let your Searing Spears hit any 4/4 out there, like Goreclan Rampager. Lets you be able to kill things that normally you wouldn't be able to. I see a bunch of things for control here. He's going to bring in the Blasphemous Axe, obviously, because he's already good with his own Boros Reckoners here, and he's going to want to be able to do that Dream 13 to the dome there.
He also has access to 2 Celestial Flare, a Pillar Flame, and a Searing Spear. I don't think Flare is that fantastic in this matchup because of these mana dorks that might be swinging in.
Right.
That actually lets Andrew get value out of them as opposed to denying him. But at the same time, it's a spell for Snapcaster Mage, and I think Ben is going to transition to be the control deck here. He's basically going to probably sideboard into a deck very reminiscent of Flash. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Geist of St. Traft hitting the bench.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd board out all 4 Geist of St. Traft here. Just your other creatures are just better. Reckoner is better, Thundermaw Hellkite is better, Resto Angel is better, Snapcaster is absurd again in this matchup. And yeah, I'd bring in the Pillar, the Searing Spear, the Blasphemous Axe is 4, and then I'd find something to shave for at least maybe one Static Caster. He has Dissipate Mate, he can come up to this too.
Sure, I think that's reasonable. On the play, I might want the Dissipates back, but on the draw, I'm not interested.
Especially against mana dorks on the draw, Dissipate is pretty rough to hit at anything irrelevant. But on the play, you can definitely hit something decent. So.
You'd have to get pretty lucky to snag a Thundermaw Hellkite with a Dissipate. It would mean your opponent wasn't pressuring you to start with.
Right.
So that's a concern. Then again, maybe he can't afford to cut the Dissipates because of the Burning Earth issue. That kind of depends on how red Ben is on the format. If Ben hasn't seen Kibler's list, if he doesn't know to expect 4 Burning Earth, which, maybe he doesn't, that's a concern.
Right.
People don't always see that coming.
Maybe Geist St. Traft might be the answer to Burning Earth. Maybe you can put the squeeze on your opponent. I don't know. It's a tough card to play around. It's 4 mana, which is the only negative to it. Maybe he brings in his 2 Negate just because the only thing he's really worried about is Domri Raid and Burning Earth.
That's a little bold. I could see maybe 1 Negate.
I wouldn't want
to risk getting bottlenecked on the Negates.
Just the mana dorks always scare me with Dissipate. It's just tough to hit. And pretty much if you're holding it open, you're going to be taking a beating in the meantime.
Ben, it looks like, has a land heavy hand with Essence Scatter and Thundermaw Hellkite, which is pretty fine for the matchup. He also has a Pillar Flame. Pillar Flame cannot handle that turn 2 Flint of 4 from Andrew, though.
Nope.
That guy's just chilling.
That guy is about to rotate. Good riddance.
You mean you don't love a 2 mana 3/3?
No, especially with haste. This is unnecessary. Mog Flunkies is good enough, I think.
A Domri Raid for Andrew.
That's a fantastic card here, and I think he's going to hold off on it. Yeah, for another Flinthoof Boar, which is going to get Essence Scattered. I think I like the Domri better because putting it at 4 here makes it so Ben can't actually kill it for 2 full more turns. And in that scenario, you're really wreaking some advantage here.
The big issue is, in my mind, the fact that Warleader's Helix will be turned on and able to kill Domri if Andrew plays it next turn. Whereas if he had played it on turn 3 here, gotten it to 4, he'd be getting it to 5 on the following turn.
Exactly.
And even if Ben just curved into 4 and had a Warleader's Helix, he actually can't remove the Domri Raid.
Exactly. He opts not to play his Boros Reckoner, so let's see what he has in his hand. I didn't see what 2 mana. He must have a 2 mana answer for this.
I imagine he has a Spear, maybe?
Or maybe another Essence Scatter or something. I didn't see his hand. But he has to have something, otherwise he would have obviously played it.
Well, here comes the Domri.
Yeah, he has another Essence Scatter. Yeah, I think he makes a mistake there too. I think your Boros Reckoner is better than any card he could possibly play that turn. Like for 3 mana or 4 mana, Hellrider's not too threatening when you have a Reckoner out, nor is any of his 3 mana spells.
We see Geist of St. Trap. Ben kept those in.
Okay, so
it'll probably serve him well here as he needs a way to pressure that Domri, but I think he has to lead the Boros Reckoner, which, you know, as you mentioned, he was punished for not casting it, as now the Domri is going to get probably at least 1 extra activation from the scenario.
Yeah, okay,
wow,
so he's
going aggro.
He wants to, I guess he's, you know, dead set on killing that Domri.
This is a bold move on 14 life. I imagine his plan is, you know, swing in the Geist and the Angel at Domri, finish it with Pillar Flame, cast Boros Reckoner next turn.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, counting on Andrew to do a lot of nothing.
Right, and Andrew showing a Burning Tree Emissary is definitely going to be doing something.
Burning Tree Emissary is a fantastic card for Andrew. It lets him deploy, at minimum, a blocker for Geist of St. Trap.
Right, and I'm pretty certain he has something else in his hand for 3, too. So hopefully Andrew can take advantage of it. Because it's basically almost like hitting a free card here. He didn't. Oh, he drew a land for turn. Okay, so that's good.
It looks like he has a Burning Earth. I can't imagine many things being less attractive than going Burning Tree Emissary, land, Burning Earth here.
This is going to be a rough. Yeah, here it is. Here it is.
The Earth is burning.
The Earth is on fire. We're in trouble.
And Ben just immediately, you know, goes to the hand. Whoa, that's not good.
That is not good at all.
I'm on 11.
Luckily, I think Ben's plan here, and this is the only plan. This is a Hail Mary. He's going to have to pillar that 2/2.
Yep.
And he's going to have to attack Andrew for 6.
It's a loose plan.
I can't see Ben winning any other way rather than getting extremely lucky with Geist St. Trap and then drawing multiple Warriors Helixes to offset the life loss and then deal damage to his opponent.
Yeah, the awkward thing is, you know, that only works as long as Ben stays at 5 or more.
Right.
Otherwise, those are off limits.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
And Andrew has 3 basics. One of the strengths of playing Green Red Aggro versus Naya, as Andrew learned in the finals last weekend, is his Burning Earths in this deck not nearly as damaging to himself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're pretty much free rolling with this card, which makes it a little bit better than Mana Barbs, as discussed previously, especially to your own self. There's no Baneslayer Angels around with the Mana Barbs, so you know there's no real threat of that.
Yeah, this card was pegged to make waves when we saw Magic 2014 for the first time, and it's continued to do so. Did he just not play a land? It looked like he passed.
I think he's talking to him. I can't imagine. I hope he's not passing turn here.
He has a Steam Bin, so at a minimum we need to play that tap.
Right. Yeah. He's definitely
a tough spot.
Yeah, he's definitely pillaring here. I don't see what else he can do at that point. I mean, I don't see. It's gonna be tough to wiggle your way out of this one, but you gotta give it a shot. I think he does have a Warriors Helix in his hand.
Doesn't he have to play the Reckoner too? I mean, obviously that's ugly, but I think he does.
Yeah, I think he does too. And after he does that, he's going to go to 7, and then he will survive this Gorkland Rampage that's about to happen. And
probably just won't happen.
I still think Ben has to attack Andrew for 6. If he attacks Domri, he's just going to lose anyway. I think his only chance here is to destroy him and hope that, you know, he can get him in 3 turns before Domri ultimates. Because the fight's pretty irrelevant when he has Reckoner.
I agree. Reckoner and Geist. He's going to send it to Domri. I like your line, though, Shahi.
Yeah, I don't think this way is... I mean, it's more appealing to get the Planeswalker off the board, but looking at life totals and staring at that Burning Earth, knowing that he has no answer in his entire deck for it, I don't think it's a winning proposition here.
Yeah, you don't want to try and play a longer game here. You really want to just close it out. You want to make it so that the extra cards Andrew might get off the Domri. Keep in mind, we don't even know the Domri will draw him cards.
Right, yeah, it could just be whiff, and you know, and that's optimal. And there is an off chance, looking at his hand, I do see the Warriors Helix, that he could actually burn his opponent out.
Yeah, I think it was a realistic possibility. I agree with you now. It's going to be very difficult, assuming Andrew has any kind of follow-up. Andrew has 3 basics, keep in mind, so he won't be taking much damage to cast his own spells. Right.
I'm going to keep track, too. I'm going to see if the game would have ended in that situation. I don't think it would have, but I think it would have been very close. He does say go.
Declines to play the Reckoner. He's going to hold up the Essence Scatter. Andrew draws another Burning Earth.
All right, well...
That's real awkward.
All of our plans are done, so...
Ben takes 3 here, goes to 7, and now Andrew can just cast Burning Earth and limit Ben to spending 3 mana for the remainder of the game.
The way Burning Earth works is the same as Mana Bars, where you tap and all the triggers go in the sack, and you can use the mana prior to taking the damage?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, even with the second Burning Earth, if he had enough Warriors Helix action, he probably could have survived, yeah. But I mean, obviously now we're way behind. At 19 life, he's just pretty dire straits here.
Yeah, I did misremember how that works. You can actually War Leader's Helix on 4 life.
Okay, yeah, you can burn him out.
Not with 2 though.
No, 2. Well, yeah, I mean, still lots of triggers on the stack here. They would need to be at 4 life for you to win that.
That's true.
Pretty tough. That's not going to be happening here. Well, let's see if Ben, if we go to game 3 here, like I suspect it will, hits the deck and takes a couple of these Essence Scatters out and just has an answer for this card, because he just cannot win, especially playing a little conservatively. You're going to have a hard time winning.
And trying to figure out what to do here, and at a loss. I think that maybe if we played the Boar Striker and Major Attack with the previous turn, what would we have? We'd be attacking Andrew down to 7, assuming he's still cast Burning Earth.
We would be at 10 also.
We could also we would have if he just made this exact same line, we would just win. But
right, yeah.
Andrew would probably not have played the second Burning Earth or attacked his board into Record.
Right, it would have been a real game. It would have been very interesting. Because he couldn't attack. If he attacked, he would have been forced to use Gore Clan Rampager, but then he would die because Boar Striker would deal 7 to him, and he would take 7, 13, 20 damage.
Right.
Not possible.
I don't think he would have attacked. I think he would have just sat and put Ben to the test. And Ben is at 1. Thundermaw Hellcat will do it. Essence Scatter, trigger Burning Earth.
Yeah. Suicide.
His essence is gone, man. You got it. No more essence here.
These counter spells are just. I don't think. See, here's the thing. I don't think Ben is going to lose to creatures. He has too much burn and he has too much removal. So I think his counter spells, if he leaves any in, have to be able to deal with Burning Earth.
He did take out the Dissipate, so I just saw him going to the sideboard, immediately grabbing some. I also saw he had a Pillar Flame still there, so he boarded a Pillar Flame, which
That's very interesting.
Didn't board up to 4, which is kind of interesting. I think it might be reasonable.
It is. He has a lot of 3/3s. I would definitely bring it in on the draw or on the play, and be able to turn 2, burn one of those mana dorks and be able to keep them off the land while you obviously progressively build more of an empire on your side.
The big issue is this tells me he probably wasn't familiar with Kibler's list from Amsterdam, because Kibler was actually running Strangleroot Geist over the Burning Tree emissaries, which Andrew's not doing.
Right.
And obviously Pillar Flame, very key in hand.
Oh yeah. Especially when you're playing a targeted removal deck, you can't afford a Searing Spear on dying creatures. Right. Actually, after seeing that game, I kind of think he should go with the negate plan, and here's the reason. I don't think he can afford to waste his counterspell on any creature. I think he actually has to hold that negate in his hand from turn 1 to 30 until the guy plays a Burning Earth. Sometimes against the red-green deck, I board him 1 negate just to counter Domri, and it makes me disciplined to hold that negate, because a lot of times they're going to play a Reckoner, and I'm like, Dissipate, and then they play Domri, I'm dead. So it's kind of like, it's more of the only thing we're going to counter in this whole matchup is probably going to be Burning Earth. So I kind of like the negate in this situation.
I think boarding in one negate is totally fine. I would still board in all of my Dissipates before going for a negate. But I think that it's a very reasonable choice.
Yeah, because
especially with us on the play, Dissipate can actually pretty reliably counter Domri, assuming we kill the Mana Dork on turn 1 or 2.
Exactly, yeah. And I like counter spells on the play. I do not like Essence Scatter that. I don't think you need it. I think
I agree.
I think it's pretty much worse than Searing Spear. And you
maybe
have
like 1 Essence Scatter.
Maybe 1, yeah.
Same logic, you're not going to regret having 1 the vast majority of the time, but 2 could very easily gum you up, as we saw.
Oh yeah, if he had a negate for either of those Burning Earths, he would have been made in the shade. He had 2 mana up too.
He might have actually been able to win. The question is, will Andrew reevaluate his own Burning Earths? After seeing Geist of St. Traft, I'd be pretty scared.
Right, especially on the draw.
Casting a Burning Earth against a Geist of St. Traft is risky business.
It is risky business, yeah.
Risky business at best.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe he might leave it. He might have seen what Ben didn't see about, I can't attack Domri here. I'm sure Andrew when he attacked Domri, was just relieved and said,
the game would have been very tight if that happened.
I would go as far as saying I would put my money on Ben in that situation. It was...
I wouldn't say your money was dead.
Yeah.
I'd say it was live. I don't know if I would call him a favorite.
Definitely not a favorite. I would just
Andrew's hand, but it's very reasonable. I think it's possible he was a favorite.
Right, yeah. I had a feeling.
We could see Ben's hand. We couldn't see Andrew's very well, but it's very possible Ben could have won from that position.
Especially with the second Burning Earth, which he can't even play realistically.
Right, that would lock Andrew out of being able to play that second Burning Earth if he attacked Andrew's life total.
Definitely. Well, let's see how game 3 goes. Let's see if we the Earth burns again. I see a bunch of red cards in this hand. A Helix.
I see Helix and the one Bonfire of the Dam, plus Geist of Saint Trapped.
All right. This
no
is
turn 2 from Andrew. That's exactly what Ben wants to see.
Wow, wow. This is going to be, he just can't even, he's shifting through his hand trying to find it as fast as possible.
Yep.
He drew the record and completely ignored it, which I would too. No turn 3 either.
Wow,
Oh,
Andrew kept a loosey-goosey.
This is not a good hand. If Andrew has more than one or more Burning Earth in his hand, I don't think this is a keepable hand. Actually, at this point, I don't think it's a keepable hand, to be honest. On the draw, I'd go to 6 in the heartbeat.
I'm very curious what he kept.
This is just getting out of control. He has, I see 3 lands in his, to the left.
I saw at least a Series Spear and I think a Hell Rider. Mizium Mortars, okay.
All right, so we take 4 more damage for Andrew, going to 10
we're
after
basically
the
just dead now. Yeah, we actually are dead. Ben has a War Leader's Helix in his hand. He's going to attack us for 6, cast War Leader's Helix, and that's the ball game.
Yep, all right.
Yep.
All right.
Andrew, no doubt, a little disappointed in that showing. He clearly drew a number of lands, but I'm not sure what that hand was or what made it keepable.
I don't think that was a keepable hand, regardless. Just from what we saw, anyway.
Generally, in this deck, I don't think you can keep any hand that doesn't have 1, 2, or 3 drop.
Right. Yeah. Especially when you're at how many mana guys? You have 6 mana guys.
Yeah.
You know, because we're drawing real poorly later in the game, probably.
I once heard a great man say, the 7th card's really just extra. You only need 6.
Yeah, I mean,
5's tough, sure, no bones about it, but 6 is fine. 6 is fine.
Basically, if he had 5 lands in his opening hand, that's almost a mold of 4 anyway with this deck, I think.